are here with Mr. Harald O. We are talking about his photographic history in the Bay Area and capturing a lot of the Bay Area scene. I think a lot of the photos that you guys all see in magazines or from the day or online from back in the day are a lot of Harald. We're going to talk about, well, the thing that kind of brought it all together and made it real. And are you an author? I guess he's an author. He's a photographic author. Your book, Murder in the Front Row, was #1 on the
New York Times bestseller list.
New York Times bestseller list.
And I've got a pretty good accent myself, actually.
Talk about that.
All right, let's see.
Actually, you, I guess you're an author, right? They call that an author.
Yeah, exactly.
You'd be an author.
With air quotes around it.
With air quotes or authorism. Talk about that coming together. Was that your and Brian's idea, or was it? And we're talking about Brian Liu, who's another person I need to get inside the vault, obviously, but also like Harald, another character of the scene.
Yes, exactly. Actually, the seeds of that were planted by Les Claypool from Primus. I brought a bunch of my photos to a gig one time. He saw me. He goes, "Dude, you should do a book." I go, "I wish I could, but it's like I don't know a publisher. I didn't know how to go about doing any of that stuff." So he recommended me get a hold of Henry Rollins, who had his own publishing company. That's called 12359 or something. It's like his birthday is the name of the publishing company, and that never really worked out. But always in the back of my mind, I always thought it'd be great to put all my shit together. And I was talking to Monty Connor from Roadrunner. I guess he's with Nuclear Blast now.
Yeah, I know Monty.
Yes. What's up, Monty? And he suggested that I get a hold of a guy named Ian Christie. And he had a small publishing company called Bazillion Points. It's like million, but bazillion at the beginning. And he had done a few books like Celtic Frost. He did a big Celtic Frost book that Tom Warrior put out. And I started talking to him, and I said, let's do a book with all my shots. And he suggested Brian Liu should be part of it also. And of course, me and Brian, we both grew up in Sunnyvale together, and we met at a Y&T show at the Keystone Palo Alto in like 82, 83 maybe, or maybe it was earlier than that, I think 80 or 81 actually. And because Brian had the earliest Metallica shots, the very first group shots with Mustaine. He had shots from Cliff's first practice at the Carlson House, and it just made sense. So spent about 2 years or so scanning negatives, and we went to some photo place in San Francisco. Ian's from back east, and he flew out here, and we scanned negatives, and I found shots I didn't even know existed and stuff. And it took about 2 years to put out, and it came out, I think about 12 years ago, 13 years ago, something like that.
It's been out for quite some time.
Yeah, and it's amazing. It's done so well. We're on our 4th printing right now, and it sold.
How many actual copies have been sold, Harald?
I think about 55,000.
55,000. Wow, that's great.
Yeah, so I mean that's like maybe gold or platinum if it was.
I sign them everywhere I go, by the way. So they're everywhere. But I make people find the legacy picture.
Oh yeah. Exactly.
Oh, they'll come to the meet and greets and they'll have Exodus Bimmo. I'm not signing that, and they'll give them. I'm in there, but not with them. Where? And they'll like thumb through it. I go, you got to find it.
That's funny you mentioned that because we never put a table of contents in there or an index in the back.
I think that's the greatest thing ever.
But Phil Demmel, our longtime buddy Phil, he actually wanted everybody that he knew to sign.
He's actually pretty close to having the whole book signed by everybody.
Exactly. So he actually wrote down everybody's name and what page they were on. He carried around a little notepad that he kept with him. And so he could, like Rudy Sarzo, whatever, James, whatever, when he was touring with Machine Head, he would look it up and be able to find it right there, But to this day, I wish I would have put an index with everybody's name in the back. So, but the book is basically, instead of separated by bands, it was Ian's idea to put out separated by clubs. All these shots were taken at this club. All these shots were taken at this club. And then we had Alex Skolnick from Testament, and Rob Flynn, Machine Head Violence, Ron Quintana, and me and Brian. We all wrote a chapter where we actually wrote stuff, about our Bay Area roots and stuff. And the response has been great. It's just incredible. And I think it's about 55,000 copies. It's the biggest selling book Bazillion Points have ever had.
Wow.
And it's I mean, I still get these quarterly residual checks every year. And people are still discovering it for the first time. So
that'll be forever.
Oh yeah, it's got
that'll be forever.
It's had a lot of legs, and I still meet metalheads all the time that like never even knew about it or seen it.
That'll be forever. You'll see.
Yeah, exactly.
You'll see.
It's done really well, and all the bands kind of look at it like a yearbook. It's growing up.
Especially the ones that were there. Believe me, I remember that shot. That was at Clay Street Studios in Oakland.
Yes,
the
Mark
Legacy
DeVito's drum heads.
Yes.
The Legacy skulls on both sides.
With the thing on whoever painted that on the back of the fucking that black tarp that we had. The Legacy backdrop.
Mark DeVito, I think
Mark DeVito.
Yes,
he didn't design it. A guy named Bill Nidow.
Bill Nidow, exactly.
But
credit for Bill Nidow on the Legacy skull.
There you go. Yeah, Bill Nidow was the Legacy skull guy.
Yeah, exactly.
He's or the Testament skull guy you see now. That's Bill Nidow. So
exactly. And I don't know if he was ever properly credited. So we got to give credit to Bill Nidow.
I don't think he was. Anyway, that's
not
my band anymore. That's not my deal. Let's talk about you playing in the bands. Let's talk about your bands.
Yes.
Let's talk about, so you were taking pictures at gigs and what decided, like, fuck this, I can do this, I can play bass, I can do this, because you play bass.
Yeah, I started playing bass in high school when I was like 14 or 15, I think. And, the usual kind of thing with, played a bunch of covers. I grew up in Sunnyvale, and some guy down the street had a PA system, so we started doing, the usual thing, bunch of covers. And that was about 14 or so. And then I'd go to all these shows, and, I said, someday that's going to be me up there, And I wanted to do that, and played in a bunch of bands. There's a band called Hellhound from Sunnyvale. We did like a bunch of...
I remember Hellhound.
Oh, yeah.
I didn't know you played in Hellhound.
I was in Hellhound for about a year or so, and did some shows with them, and... we were the only metal band in Sunnyvale that knew Venom and Accept. We played a bunch of covers like that. That kind of fizzled out, and I was a metalhead, but I was like more. I wasn't into like the death metal stuff that much, It had to be more melody. So I was in a band called Oblivion for a long time. We opened up for Montrose, and that just led its course, whatever. But we actually played Ruthie's one time too. Nobody showed up, but we did play Ruthie's. So. But then the DRI thing kind of happened.
What year was that?
DRI was 1999. I think it was. And I had known them for a long time. From the very first time I saw them, they opened up for Slayer at the Crest Theater in Sacramento. That's where that famous Toby Rage stage dive shot is from. And I'd never heard anybody play that fast before. I couldn't believe how fast they were. And their first 7-inch had 22 songs on it, on a 7-inch, which is crazy. But to me, that wasn't really a song. Those weren't songs. Those were like riffs.
They were riffs. They're only a minute and 30 seconds long.
Exactly. But I had known them for a while. I was really good buddies with Spike. And I went on a couple tours as their bass tech and bass roadie. My first time going on the road with a band ever. It was DRI headlining, Creator, and Holy Terror. I think we did like 3 months in the States back in '88. And that was like a huge eye-opening experience for me. I was a bass tech for Josh Pappy, bass player number 5 or 6, I think. Yeah. And so I was always kind of in the background. And then basically Chumley, bass player before me, number 7, he bailed right in the middle of this big Social Chaos tour. And it was this, huge punk rock thing that went, it was like 15, 20 bands. And I was the only guy that kind of knew the songs. So basically, I had to learn 34 songs in like 2 days. And my first show was at the Milwaukee Metal Fest. We headlined in front of like 15,000 people. My very first show in front of a crowd like that. And that was 1999 and lasted about 19 years. Got to go all over the world.
Was it 2 stints you did in them, Harold? Didn't you play with them and you left for a while and then you went back? Or
Spike got colon cancer.
Oh, okay.
So basically, that's kind of where the gap was in the middle there.
Okay, so there was a gap that I didn't know if it was that you had stepped out for a while and then came back in. Right. So.
Yeah, Spike got colon cancer. We took some time off, but I got to go all over the world, played, South America, huge crowds, played all the fests, Hellfest. Played Wacken, we played just numerous fests like, you've done. And so I got a good taste of what it was like, and that was a blast. We didn't really get along that great. Me and Kurt, the vocalist, we were always kind of at loggerheads about stuff. And after Spike got colon cancer, he kind of drove by himself the whole time because he had a special diet and stuff he had to do. So it was me, whichever drummer we had, and Kurt crammed in a van, and I was pretty much the main driver. And we didn't get along that good. We got along a lot better before I was in the band.
Uh-huh.
And that kind of came to loggerheads, and I'm not going to go into too much detail, but fast forward to like 2018, I think it was, my dad ended up getting colon cancer. So I needed some time off and to deal with my dad and be with him the last 6 months of his life. And the band was cool about it. It was all good. And next thing you know, when it came time to, regroup with the band and everything, they didn't want me back. And that was kind of a shock to me. It's like, and the weird thing too is they kind of talked me into they said if my dad passes away in the middle of a tour, then I'd have to leave right in the middle of the tour to, do this funeral, all this stuff. They kind of set it up where I would, take some time off. And I got the impression that I could come back and everything was cool. when after my dad passed away, they didn't really want me back, which was kind of a shock for me. And with DRI, I was always I was like the, I don't know what the best way to call it, but I was like the loose cannon, so to speak. I was the guy with the lampshade on my head, at the parties, and I was kind of like the PR guy from DRI. They would go back to the hotel and go to sleep.
And you would be the guy that going out to the bars, hanging out with everybody.
Exactly.
So there'd be the representative, basically.
Exactly.
You rep the band.
Yeah, always.
Yeah.
And I'd go to these keg parties till 6 a.m. with people that I just met at the gig that night. I'd be getting back to the hotel room at 6. The sun's rising. It's like I'd be all burnt and have to drive the next day. And they didn't really like that for some reason. They thought I should go to the hotel and sleep and be well rested for the next show, which is probably true to a certain extent. But I was just like the loose cannon, and I still am.
Do you think that led to your demise, Harold? Do you think maybe that's what it was?
Part of it, and
did you ever get an answer from Spike or Kurt?
It was kind of like your services aren't needed any longer.
Sometimes you never get an explanation; you just deal with it. Oh well.
Yeah, exactly. And we don't really get. Me and Spike were like this for years and years and years. And after the colon cancer thing happened, he kind of changed a little bit. He wasn't quite the easygoing guy that he was before.
Well, that could do that too.
Of course.
You got to understand that.
But I'd kind of been thinking about quitting for a while, and we did a bunch of tours where we almost drove off cliffs and in blizzards and stuff like that. I don't want to do this anymore. It's too crazy. I was kind of fearing for my life a bunch of times because we got in situations where I thought I was going to die, numerous times. Total whiteout, blizzard conditions and shit like that. But I have no regrets, and I got a good taste of being in a band and getting to tour all over the world. And I got to record an EP with them. 4 songs, 20 years, 4 songs. And for the longest time, I was the guy that had been in a band the longest and never recorded.
Wow.
Exactly.
Wow.
But and Greg Orr, the bass player they have now, bass player number 9, I think it is. I was 8. I kind of was grooming him to take my place because I was kind of thinking of bailing for a while. But it was like one of those deals where it's like, you can't quit, you're fired.
Wow.
And it's like, you can't fire me, I quit. So they're still going strong with Greg, and I was kind of grooming him to replace me. He's a great guy, doing a great thing. They're still touring. They're doing pretty much the same set list they've done for the last 25 years. They should maybe mix it up a little bit, but that's one thing that's really tough is when you come time to pick. You can relate with this.
Oh,
when it
God.
comes to pick a set list.
God. I go in the other room.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't even want to deal with it.
You can never make everybody completely happy. There's always
an argument.
Why don't you do this song?
I don't even get it. Well, we do. I can't. I'm not ready to do that one. I need a couple of days. It's like,
dude, Shroud of Urine.
Just fucking. Oh, believe me, I wanted to play that song.
Shroud of Urine. That's the best song you could ever do the Russian vodka dance to. That song was made for that, for the Russian vodka dance. And, it's tough getting a set list, but there's certain staples you kind of have to play.
Oh, I know. We have staples.
Exactly. You have lots of staples.
Has to play. Bonded by Blood has to be played.
And so, but if you go see the same band year after year after year, like with Slayer, I think they should have gone some more deep tracks, some stuff off of Hell Awaits. And it got to the point where it's like 80-90% of the set list was exact same songs every time.
Yeah.
And then when they did play like a deep album cut, like something, like Crypts of Eternity or something off of Hell Awaits, then it was like, yes, it's like Priest, they played something off of Stained Class or something like Saints in Hell, I think they played.
Really?
Yeah. And it was like, wow, talk about going deep. And it was so killer, it's such a huge deal.
But this set list, we were looking through all the stuff from the past, and we came across a song. Ian, have we ever played this song live before? Never. In the history of the band. Ian knows everything about Judas Priest. He's the encyclopedia of this band. So, we saw all the celebrations recently about the 40th anniversary of Stained Glass. I think it was 40 years. And we thought, wouldn't it be cool if we played this one? So, this is going to be really cool. Saints in Hell.
Oh, he did!
So, and DRI has a bunch of other songs too that they could possibly do, but they don't ever want to pull out, you know? And you can only see a band so many times when they play the same set list, you know what I'm saying?
I agree.
And you can never make everybody completely happy.
That's true.
So, but try. And one of the things that I thought would be cool is you have a poll, internet poll. Talk to the fans. What do the fans want to hear? Vote for your favorite, 10 favorite DRI songs.
Saxon does that. There's certain bands that do that.
Exactly. And I think
And
that's
they pull the songs, and then they'll take the top 20 and go off
Metallica
that.
did a whole couple tours like that too. And I think that's great because that gives the fans what they want. And then you can hear these deep album cuts like UFO, Michael Schenker, amazing. All these UFO songs like Obsessions and stuff.
Oh, great.
Oh, the best, tastiest guitar. I mean, he's probably my favorite guitar player like of all time. But like Try Me, all these old UFO songs, Schenker never plays them.
Yeah.
And they're part of his legacy. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm going to hear Armed and Ready, and of course all that, but it's like, after so many times of him touring, you need to like go back to your back catalog and say, hey, this song's pretty damn cool. And what about this song, And then number one is you got to give the people what they want.
Definitely.
So
We're going to take another break. We're going to get back with Harald. We're going to talk about what Harald is doing now when we get back on Zetro's Talk to Well. What's up, everybody? Zetro here, and I just got off the road with Exodus, and you know what? I sold so many bottles of Zetro's Toxic Shock. It's my own hot sauce made by the Hella Hot Hot Sauce Company. Now, I know some of you people that bought it on the road were asking, dude, I went through it already, and I wondered where I can get it. You can go to HellaHotHotSauce.com and order some more if you went through it already. Now, this stuff is good on eggs, pizza, obviously Mexican food. It's good on everything. It's got a nice, good flavor to it. A little hot, but it's got a really good flavor to it. So, and if you want to try it and haven't tried it, go to HellaHotHotSauce.com and get yourself some Zetro's Toxic Shock today.